The universe is under no obligation to make sense to you. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Just to start off this video, obviously it's just Biehl and no Bones today on the review, because he didn't have time to play and really dive into Mass Effect Andromeda like I did, so I took this one on alone. With that being said, this is just my personal opinion. I do not intend to hurt anyone's feelings or step on any toes by making this video. This video is simply for your entertainment. Enjoy. Basic facts. Mass Effect Andromeda came out March 21st, 2017. It is an action role-playing game by genre, and it was developed by BioWare. It was published by Electronic Arts, and some of the lead actors in the game were Tom Taylorson as Scott Ryder, Frida Wolf as Sarah Ryder, and Clancy Brown as Alec Ryder. Introduction. Mass Effect Andromeda is the fourth entry overall in the Mass Effect series, and the first since 2012's Mass Effect 3. The game begins within the Milky Way galaxy during the 22nd century, where humanity is planning to populate new homeworlds in the Andromeda galaxy, as part of a strategy called the Andromeda Initiative. The player assumes the role of either Scott or Sarah Ryder, an inexperienced military recruit who joins the initiative and wakes up in Andromeda following a 600-year journey in the early 29th century. Despite driven gameplay, an immersive environment, and a compelling performance by both female and male writer, Mass Effect Andromeda never gets out of the shadow of its questionable narrative and dominating predecessors. Mass Effect Andromeda goes to new galaxy with a new hero, mixing old and new concepts while still retaining the essence of Mass Effect. I give it a solid 82 out of 100, and that's official in my book. I loved the wildly unbalanced Mass Effect Andromeda far more than I should have, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. Ultimately, the utter awe and spectacle of the wide and vast Helios sector and the dramatic, strategic, and engaging combat swept me through the admittingly heavy-handed plotting and dialogue. At the end of the day, Mass Effect Andromeda can't decide what type of game it wants to be, focusing heavily on one specific function of the game like crafting armor and weapons or prolonged heavy narrative, to then just completely divert to an additional function like being able to simply find armor and weapons or jumping to a static combat right after deep narrative. I couldn't pinpoint if they were concentrating on the game being an action-adventure or a polished RPG. The attention to detail in the combat portion of the game, where every skill, weapon, and companion used in your preferred style and combination is amazing. Doesn't translate to an ending that seems powerful but ultimately says little. Both female and male writers' chemistry with the crew of the Tempest would carry Mass Effect Andromeda even if the script were mediocre. The conversations you can have with your crew are elaborate and complex. The conversations often deal with a member of your crew being distraught, like Jaal, for example, who talks all the time and is always distraught, in moments where the camera never leaves the faces and shows how much the character can convey with nothing but their eyelids, the flashing tension of their veins, and barely crackling voices.
I spent years watching pioneers go through the Arcturus mass relays, off to glory while I stayed behind. Then Dad's career collapsed. His AI research made him too toxic.
I heard.
Beyond the obvious. Cinematography. Mass Effect Andromeda is a world drenched in color, using bright, soft reds and blues alongside calming oranges and whites that both build and slowly strip away the feeling of fear and uncertainty for the protagonist. Every planet looks like a world worth living on. Tone. Despite the insane, deep openness of space and the high stakes of the Andromeda Initiative, Mass Effect Andromeda's witty and entertaining script keeps humor and excitement alive in every dialogue option. Space may be a dangerous and scary place, but the joy of scientific discovery is enthralling. Graphics. Great environment and galactic imagery paint a beautiful picture of the final frontier, but the character model and animations are sometimes inconsistent. Sound. Voice performances are usually good, especially for the Ryder twins. The main musical theme is memorable and the rest of the soundtrack serves its purpose without standing out. Gameplay. Combat feels amazing and is honestly a portion of the game I praise most, especially because it was not a focus on the other entries into the series. But a clunky interface can make basic navigation and upkeep on inventory a chore. Technical glitches were plentiful and abundant, making the whole experience a little unpolished. Acting. While the Ryder twins are fantastic whenever there is dialogue, some of the NPCs and surrounding quest givers don't have as engaging narrative. The Ryder twins, using their cool stoicism to save the galaxy and find a new home, always meet or exceed the crew and NPCs acting. The crew can't quite match the Ryder twins in the quiet moments of Mass Effect Andromeda, which falter under the crew's expressionless gaze. The ending. In the end, Mass Effect Andromeda was a good game. It might not be a great game, but the emotion and feelings Mass Effect Andromeda finds in its gameplay and narrative is far too addicting to give up. Not an essential to the Mass Effect universe, but definitely an essential game to play for the year of 2017.
Damn, son.